What's poppin', yo? Plaqueboymax done folded up like origami when it came to, above all artists, freaking garbage net spend. I cannot believe this. So this all started with Plaqueboymax reacting to this guy Netspend's album Early Life Crisis, which I also listened to as well. You can check that video out if you want. Listen to the whole entire thing.
This song cold, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, one thing I will say that I've heard so far, none of this making me go like, damn, bro, like this net went ghost and came back evolved crazy. Like, you feel me? I'm gonna be honest. And I like some of his songs, but like I don't feel like, damn, yo, he taking that next step, if I'm being honest.
So here in this clip, he's saying like, yo, he can't finish this. He doesn't really think, who knows why he couldn't finish it, whether it was time constraint or whatever else. He wanted to get off the stream. And I'm in agreement that 4 songs in, I wanted to quit listening to that, but I made a commitment to listen to the whole thing. So I did listen to the whole thing and it was garbage. But some time passes by. All right. And what happens next? This guy, Hakeem, who worked with previously No Jumper at one point, early days, if you know, you know, and also Our Generation Music, he calls out Netspend's project and uses this post from that Our Generation Music posted and said 1 for 21 net went. Where is We Gonna Be Okay on this? He only had on one collab. You and OK, which is the original producer that he worked with, need to lock in on an EP. You sound best on his beats. Now people have their own opinions of this. And then there became a back and forth between Netspend and Hakeem, where he says, F you, you old B. And he says, Net, you know I got love for you, you know, this and that. And he says, you know what I'm on, always. Come around me, try to be around me. Get the F out. Can't eat at my table. And he's like, brother, I'm 30. I don't want to be around you. With all due respect, that's how I interpreted it. He says, you're brain dead. So what happens is Plaqueboymax comes out, and it's almost like he got the call because he just walks this entire thing back.
I've been listening to that shit. I'm not gonna lie. I had to finish the rest off stream because, as y'all know, I only started it on stream. My favorite song is Shades On. Shades On is crazy. Yo! Now, one thing I want to say, bro. Y'all remember when I originally listened to the album and I said, yo, he didn't really evolve? I feel like when I'm reacting to music, bro, and if y'all have noticed, there are certain things when I react to music I don't really be saying. Why is that? Because if you noticed, when I said that, that was put everywhere. Not the good things of me saying about the music, only the bad. And started hating on this. I don't know if you saw the Hakeem from OGM, just straight on this. Like, damn, bro, I enabled this. And I don't with that. I don't like that. I'm not gonna lie. Because it's like, bro, at the end of the day, if we all stick together and just, you feel me, keep shit positive and push it forward, bro, this shit be huge, bro. I'm gonna keep it a buck. No cap. So, yeah, like, I don't know. I don't, bro. I don't like when it's like, bro, it's all supposed to be working together, moving together. It's like, be hating on each other. I don't like that. Not gonna lie. I'll keep it a buck. But it is my take, though. Like, that's genuinely how I feel, or felt. But it's like, bro, it's still like, you know, do you get what I'm saying? Like, for example, chat, let me give you an example, bro. Yo mans is dating a girl. The girl chopped. She beat. Like, this is bad bops. Bro, is you gonna go to your man? Like, is you gonna go at the lunch table and be like, I'm not gonna lie, gang, your girl look like a frog? No, you're not gonna do that. You just gonna let him rock. This my man's. I'm gonna let him rock. You feel me? At the end of the day, I'm gonna be supportive and just keep my... Y'all saying, yeah. Y'all crazy, bro. Yeah, do y'all not understand what I'm saying?
This is how you know. This is really how you know that FaZe Banks was probably right about this guy, where he's self-centered, thinks that he is, you know, just like he's causing everything. No, Hakeem did not start dunking on this dude because Plaqueboymax made a couple of negative comments. Because rewinding before all of this happened, before Early Life Crisis released, Hakeem already called out underground rappers, both Fake Mink and Netspend, on his IG story. This was March 2nd when this happened, which was before Early Life Crisis. And I made a video about it talking, and then that's where I said, you know what? I didn't know Netspend's dropping an album soon. I'm going to listen to it. And in the IG stories, he talks about Mink most streamed song on his EP got a little over 2 million streams on Spotify. These young kids are so distracted, man. Demna, tell these boys get in the studio. We just need to move on from promoting optics. This ish cool, but your community and music only thing that matters. And in this photo, he shows fake Mink and he also shows Netspend. And then you see Cardi on the other side. He says Cardi seemed to be all y'all blueprint, but Cardi was performing at a fashion show. He ain't walk no fashion show until he was 2 albums in, coming off Die Lit. Trav ain't walk a show till 2025. So Hakeem already had this take. And to try to somehow say that, oh yeah, he set that, Plaqueboymax set this off. So what are you going to tell me? That this dude Hakeem that said 1 out of 21 for Netspend, he said this and didn't even listen to the project because of Plaqueboymax? Seriously? Like, come on, dog. Now, granted, I will say that, yeah, for me, it wasn't even Plaqueboymax either. I wanted to say that I saw the Plaqueboymax clip and I checked out the album, but that wasn't even the case. I saw the Hakeem original tweet, and then that's where I checked out the album, or I knew the album was going to come out, made a video about it, and then listened to it. So none of this had anything to do with Plaqueboymax, but this is the biggest problem. And I've said this in the past. This guy needs to play the game of politics, but he cannot give authentic opinions. You're not going to try to convince... The dude comes back talking about like, yo, y'all don't mess with this song? No, we don't. We clearly do not mess with that song. And then I responded to this and said, these rappers are not our mans. That album is a piece of garbage, and he was right the first time. By he, I'm talking about Plaqueboymax. Him plucking out 1 out of 21 songs he liked doesn't change that. And he's talking about, oh, all these people were supposed to be working together, moving together. For who? For what? Like, what? And I said this previously. Plaqueboymax is trying to juggle a couple of different things that do not work together. Kai Cenat, at one point, he had Offset on his stream. It was a 24-hour stream. It was a great stream. It was very entertaining. Obviously, he liked some of Offset's music, and he liked some of the Migos music in the past. He listens to Offset's new album. He didn't mess with it. Offset felt a type of way about that. What did Kai Cenat do? He said, hey, listen, man, my opinion is my opinion. It's going to stay that way. It is what it is. And I got to have the utmost respect for Kai Cenat for doing that. Granted, Kai Cenat was not trying to be a rapper. Kai Cenat was not trying to be a producer. Kai Cenat was not trying to be in the music industry. So he's able to do that. With Plaqueboymax, I already know what these conversations are behind the scenes. The people are hitting him up. There's managers that manage Netspend, or like anybody that works with these guys. There's a lot of overlap. And he's trying to get artists on his stream. Not only is he trying to get artists on his stream, so he has to operate within the music industry, but he's also at a point where he's trying to be an artist. So he needs collaborations with producers, collaborations with other rappers. So he has to play this game of politics. And I don't have an issue with him playing the game of politics, but you cannot sit here and try to give your honest opinion, because now it just seems like a puff piece. Because if you're about this, oh yeah, you know, people don't clip the good stuff I say about the album, you didn't say anything good about that album that we saw until now, which was days later, a week later, after the album dropped. And on top of that, nobody's ever going to clip the good stuff that you say about it. And you didn't even cause this narrative at all. That maybe it was amplified, but you're just echoing the same sentiment that everybody else did. So now when people are listening, fans, let's say, they're listening to a Plaqueboymax opinion, what are they going to hear? They're going to expect, okay, this guy's going to give us a little puff piece. So we're not really interested in his opinion, frankly. And that's okay. But he's got to cut out the whole, oh, I'm listening to an album and giving my feedback, response, or what I think of it, because it's not going to be honest. And it's okay that it's not honest, but you got to choose. Either you want to be a musician, and because there's a reason you don't see musicians giving their opinions on other people's music. It's because they want to keep the door open to potentially work with them. And people have no problem working with trash if the trash is hot at that time. If the trash is popping, they'll work with them. And I do think that Plaqueboymax probably has a fondness towards Netspend back in the day, or like, you know, because he's underground. Plaqueboymax came up a lot off of underground music. I don't think he blew up because of underground music. He just happened to blow up, and he was already into underground music. Nobody blows up covering underground music. There's a reason why it's underground. And by underground, I'm talking like post 2018, because none of those artists really went up other than yeet. Other than that, these guys have just they've constantly been hitting this ceiling of almost cracking through, other than maybe you could say like a Ken Carson, but a Ken Carson was aided with the help of a strong brand and cosign in Playboi Carti. And that's not considering what other effect he had on him musically. So here, this is, I don't like to use the word disappointing, but because it's like, who the hell am I to be disappointed in Plaqueboymax? I do think Plaqueboymax, in a separate tweet, I talk about how I think he's on a historic run content-wise right now. He's putting out some really cool stuff, some really cool cross-cultural stuff, and I'll probably talk about that separately on its own because I do think it needs to be addressed. But no, there's a reason why Hakeem, like for example, and also this isn't just applied to Plaqueboymax. If somebody relies on interviewing rappers, this is the same exact thing that they have to go through. Because their business, which very rarely now is that a thing. Even there was a conversation with Sean Cotton and Adam 22, and they're talking about how even Vlad, including themselves, they're not really interviewing rappers because it just doesn't make sense business-wise. But at a point, if you need to interview rappers, you aren't going to be reviewing their music and giving harsh opinions. Otherwise, why would they show up, right? They want to look good. And this is where you end up getting puff pieces. So people will say, oh no, back in the day, they bullied them into giving positive opinions, which is true because people were journalists and they were giving their honest opinions on these magazines, and then they got bullied into giving good opinions. But after that, after the whole bullying era ended, it just ended up being, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. And if you were honest, like let's say a Joe Budden, right? It's unlikely that you're going to have certain artists pull up and have a conversation with you or anything like that, unless they are capable of having respect for your opinion. So there's a big distinction to be made between certain artists are incapable of understanding. A person just has a different opinion. It's not even criticism because the artist may have made a great project and a lot of people thought it was great, but one critic thought it sucked. So that's not really criticism in that scenario, but it's an honest opinion. And they can value, some, very few, can value that honest opinion and have respect that that person is willing to give that opinion and have, I wouldn't say an affinity towards that person, but be like, there's a mutual respect there and can still conversate with them. However, most artists they feel insulted. Granted, if you put your heart and soul into music and you feel insulted by it, somebody calling it trash, that's all fine and good. But that's not Netspend's case. This guy's garbage. There's not a heart or a soul, or honestly, AI would do a better job than whatever the hell Netspend is putting out. But yeah, that's just what I think about. I think Plaqueboymax needs to retire this. That's it. He needs to stop giving his opinion unless he Plaqueboymax should just be like the happy guy where he's like, yo, I mess with this new song, guys. Y'all mess with this? Yo, I really mess with this out. If he doesn't like something, which he should be listening to it off stream, then he shouldn't even mention it. That's it. And that will assist him in his career because honestly, he stands to benefit far more from playing the game of politics and going up in music, which is what I would like him to do. I wanted him to win that Grammy and make history, than he ever will giving reviews of music and all of the negative outcomes that come with that. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.